Hey guys, it's Postbox Pat, welcome back to a brand new video, and in today's video we're just generally celebrating Chapter 2 Season 8's end and getting ready for Chapter 3. So sit back, relax as I fly around the entire map talking about some of my favourite POIs and just visiting some places we may have never ever been to or hardly landed at. Yes, this map is going to be finally going tomorrow in the event. I will be streaming it on the channel, so make sure you guys are new and if you are new, subscribe and make sure you guys are tuning in to that live stream which will be taking place on the channel. I can't wait for that. It's going to be super awesome. Hopefully you guys will be there for that. I can't wait to see what's going to happen during the event. So first off, one of the biggest map changes we had this season was the redacted bunker opening up. We know the Doctor was investigating stuff here, and this is most likely going to be used at some point during the event, or we may see some scenes over here at the event. So a really cool POI. It's a shame to see it go, and it will be going soon. Catty Corner was the next one on the list as we go around the map. This one was a good POI added in Season 2 and probably one of my favourite ones. It really gave life to this area on this side of the map because generally no one really landed over here. To be honest, no one really landed here. I know this was a popular POI for a lot of more professional or more kind of sweaty players. A lot of people landed here because it's a good rotational spot before Catty, and even with Catty there now, but most people really didn't land over here, especially Camp Cod. Like, who actually landed there? Let me know in the comments if Camp Cod was your main POI, because generally this place was not my main POI. Now, continuing on moving through some of the main POIs, we're not going to be going in all the little detail like the small ones like this, because these little IO bases haven't really been used much this season, and even just small lodges on the edge of the map, we'll probably leave out all of them. We're just going to focus the main POIs as we do go around. So next up we've got Misty Meadows. Now Misty Meadows is a brand new POI that was added in at the start of this chapter, and this one was a popular one and still is to this day, hence why it probably never got removed. Really cool POI and probably one of my favourite ones to land at. I never really mastered the loot in here, like I wasn't very good at getting a good loot run, but if you did know a good loot run inside of Misty, you were pretty much set to do whatever you want for the rest of the game. Continuing on moving through, we had the ski lodge up here. I think this was really cool. This one was a popular location just because it was just like a joke place, and a lot of NPCs did spawn in here. We had Power Cord and obviously Fabio now, so it's a really cool location, and I think that was one of my favorite little spots to kind of rotate kind of by when you're going past. Over here there wasn't really much. There's a cool little Easter egg on the hill, just some more stuff down there. I can't wait to find all the Easter eggs in the Chapter 3 map. It's just making me think right now, when that does go live, I'm going to be flying around the map for so long in replay, which is going to be absolutely crazy. We've got a petrol station over here as well, which is really cool. Then obviously moving around the POIs, you can see we've got the dam. This is more of a relaxed commentary, just me celebrating the end of this, so I hope you guys are enjoying it. This was a kind of popular POI. Ruckus was located over here for a bit, one of the bosses. Then we even had Ziggs's first spawn, so yeah, it's a really cool memory, this place. It didn't really have much loot, so I would never really land here. Coming in from Misty, maybe you'd rotate in with a boat or something when they had endless fuel. Even the Spire Towers as well, the Spire Guardian Towers, they were pretty popular as well. So we'll carry on going around the entire map, and we'll come back round towards Lazy that way. So let's keep going through. We've got a lot of POIs to go over and just generally explore. It's just so cool just to do this. So Flush Factory, this is a classic POI. This one was originally in the Chapter 1 island and got reintroduced this chapter. So it was a cool POI to see the reintroduction, but again, a not very popular spot. Again, no one really lands here. So I didn't really like Flush that much this chapter, even though it was an OG POI returning. This place was only popular when you could get a free scar from Aurelia, but now it's just completely dead and no one really lands here at all. So they don't really have much memory. It's mainly just an advertisement for the skin. Okay, moving through, we're now in the swamp biome. Again, not much around this section. Little IO base over here with a helipad which never actually spawned in. I'm guessing if there were 2 more seasons, we probably would have seen helicopters return, but it looks like we're ending on Season 8, so yeah, that's what's happening there. Slurpee, now this was a really popular POI when it was in its current, like its normal state, but after the aliens abducted it, it really did lose its vibe, and I don't think Slurpee was that popular after that. So rip to Slurpee, just not as popular as it used to be due to the aliens destroying the POI. You can see over here we've got a bunch of crash sites as well. These were pretty cool. The crash sites were nice and just interesting. I did like the slipstreams they introduced with these. It was a new mechanic with even the bounce pads around, so that was kind of cool, good for rotation. Durburger, this was cool by the ski lodge. Durburger never originally was here. It was introduced later on in the chapter. It was originally this logjam, sorry, not the ski lodge. Logjam was originally just at this POI, and then Durburger kind of spawned in one season. I can't remember what the reason was behind it, but it did spawn in, and you can now visit this. Doesn't have the Der Burger sign on it though, which was interesting. It's like a sign without the actual logo. So yeah, really cool POI there, Der Burger, which was reintroduced this chapter. Same with Tomato Town as well, which we'll get to in a second. Holly Hedges. This is a popular POI. I love this POI. I think this is probably one of my favourite ones as well. This has been in since the start of the chapter. It was used as the aliens base last season in season 7, so it hasn't really had much kind of looks at it since then. But Holly Hedges, a really cool POI, generally one of my favourite ones to land at. I think this was probably my favourite one throughout the chapter. It was really laid back. I loved it in season 7 as well with all the trespassers, so pretty cool stuff, and the cleanup is still taking place. Sadly, we may not see this on the new island, but only time will tell. And what was really good about Holly as well, they even introduced like a back sector to it later on in the chapter where this store was being used for Christmas and Halloween decorations, also a petrol station and a gas station when they were introduced as well. Sorry, the garages for the new cars as well when they were first introduced with the chonkers. So that was pretty cool this chapter. A lot of stuff going on with cars this chapter. You gotta remember, cars were like probably the biggest thing this chapter. John Wick's location over here is a little house, or the forest, the Ferris Bueller's Day Off, sorry, house. This was an Easter egg house over here. The Easter egg still kind of lies here, but just completely got trashed with all the cranes. This brings back a lot of memories, all the map changes that used to take place around here. Really cool location. John Wick was located over here for a long time, the Reaper version of him, and his stuff is still in the basement. So I think that was the original NPC located over here in season 4, was it, or season 5? Maybe I'm not too sure. It might have been season 5. More IO bases. This little location over here, Fort Crumpet, wasn't too popular, kind of cool, wasn't really my favourite, but it's nice to see. Continuing on moving through a little bit further, we've got a lot of different POIs to go through still, so this is a really fun one. Next up, we'll go Coral Castle. Alright, Coral Castle. This was underrated. Coral Castle is one of the most beautiful POIs, I think, inside of the world of Fortnite, especially with the shark there behind it. This POI was so underrated, and people just love, like, ripping into Coral. I know it kind of lost its like stuff when it lost its location there, lost its loot and stuff, but I think Coral Castle was a great POI and I loved it. So yeah, Coral Castle really cool. The shark, sadly the shark only lasted one season, and that was during season 2. After that, the shark was just really removed and never really used to the same vibrant level as it originally was. But it's a cool POI, and originally it was amazing. Since its changes though, it went downhill. I don't think many people really landed here. So yeah, rip to the shark right there. Moving on to the lighthouse. Again, this one really wasn't used at all. It was just more of like a boss location when Gujimon was located over here, and maybe a challenge place. I don't think anyone would really land here. Would anyone actually land at these two? I don't know. It was a cool addition to the map, and you would always see the light shining over the map depending on where you're located. So I really did like it overall. It was a really cool one. So yeah, there's the lighthouse. Alright, moving on. Stealthy Strongholds. This was first introduced for the Predator. Hasn't really seen any changes since then. Tomb Raider was also added inside of here. Other than that, Stealthy, to be honest, really isn't that good of a POI. It was great when Pred was there and that, but it just doesn't have... It is actually quite a good POI for wood, but it doesn't really have enough loot, and a jungle biome was pretty cool. I expected dinosaurs in here. I guess we did get raptors, but I expected more than just raptors, and it was nice to see that the Predator was added inside of here as well. It was a cool POI, I guess. POI, I don't know. It was nice. It was alright, so let's move on from there. Next one, we got more crash sites. We've got Pleasant Park. This was a classic one from chapter 1, a really popular one, and one of the two that did remain. Even Saltier technically was in this season as well, so retail was also in as well. So cool little Pleasant Park. Had a lot of changes throughout the season. We saw the addition of Dr. Doom, this bunker opening up, the bunch of IO and ghost stuff going on over here, just a Ghost and Shadow, just a lot of stuff really inside of the Pleasant Park. I think the season 4 Pleasant Park was probably the best with the opened up bunker for Doom's base though. We did predict the bunker opening up originally when helicopters were introduced as well, with the Shadow and Ghost stuff. Then there's this little POI over here, which isn't fully built, I don't think, on this replay. It might be. This is for the event, I believe, so that's going to be pretty cool. But let's keep moving through. We've got a few others to go over. We've got Boney. This one was good at the start. It was basically a Tilted Towers remix, wasn't it? Like, it's a Tilted Towers remix. That's literally what it is. You got the clock tower, you got one of the buildings over here, you got another building over here. It is a smaller version of Tilted. It doesn't get the popularity that Tilted gets. I still get the vibe at landing, like at Tilted when I land at this. Just not as big, and I don't think it looks like Tilted at all. So Boney is a cool POI, but it just doesn't give me that tilted vibes, and definitely doesn't sit on my list as up there as one of the most popular ones this chapter. I would personally not really land here. It's more of like a rotational one for me. But let me know in the comments if it was one for you. We missed Sweaty, so we'll go back over to here because Believers Beach was the name of this last season, but Sweaty Sands is the OG name for this POI. And inside of here, you can see we've got still got the alien stuff on the beach. Really cool one. I think it was really cool when we got softies introduced on here. I think that was one of the coolest additions to this Believers Beach. I remember finding that in the original start of Chapter 2 Season 1. But yeah, we've got the skate part. We had a little collab over here with LeBron James, which was really cool on this wall. Even the basketball hoop up here. So yeah, a really, really cool POI. I think this one was a nice one to visit at the V Park as well, the caravan park. So yeah, I think this was a good one. I don't know where it'd sit on my list. It's like the first POI that you land at, isn't it? At the start of the chapter. So it lasted the whole chapter. I don't know if it'll be in next chapter, but it was cool and generally a really popular POI. And I think I will miss this POI when it does go. It was just unique, wasn't it? Like a beach POI. It was really cool. So yeah, I will miss that. All right, let's move on though and carry on. We'll go through the middle section of the map, I guess, and we'll cut more to the back and the left. So, these two here, we'll start with the Queen. So this is the pyramid in the center of the map, and this is where the current Cube Queen is situated. You can see her here at the top of the pyramid, ready to summon her stuff for the event, which is going to be super cool. And you can see the actual pyramid is a lovely, lovely pyramid. It's like huge, it's giant, it's gigantic, isn't it? In reality, it is really huge. So there it is, the pyramid. I love this. It was one of my favorite additions to this season. It was one of the only map changes really we got this season in Season 8, but it was a great one, and I really did like it. I think it had some really unique stuff to it, the way the mechanics played in it, not really much building, a lot of bouncing around. It was just a really cool POI that you could really explore. And this did get bigger and bigger over time, the tower in the center, for those wondering. There are also a bunch of loot down here as well. You could get a bunch of loot by looting this place up. So it was really cool, and I generally do think that this POI was unique. It was cool how all the cubes formed this. Like, it's literally powered and formed by all of the cubes that rotated and created this crazy POI. So generally a really cool addition, and one that I will miss. I think I will miss the Kevin aspect and even just the cube aspect. I hope there is still maybe some more cubes in the next chapter, but who knows. I love the cubes when they were rotating around the map. There was just too many. I think it was better when there was just one, but who knows. Alright, moving on. Risky. This really did see a downfall. Risky really has not really had any light in it since the original chapter. I guess the start of chapter 2 has, like, Risky was okay when it returned for like the Star Wars event and stuff, but other than that, I think Risky just isn't the same anymore. So there it is anyway. It still remains, but just not the same. Just not the same. Alright, so we're going to go over towards the Craggy Cliff section of the map. This one was, again, a popular POI because it was introduced at the start of the chapter. I think this one was generally one that a lot of you will remember for chapter 2. It's one that comes straight to my mind. And it hasn't really seen many changes at all throughout these last 8 seasons. It's kind of kept itself in its own little spot, which is really nice. I think this was one POI that you can go to and still get the Chapter 2 Season 1 vibes at this POI. So it's going to be a shame to say goodbye to it, but yeah, Craggy Cliffs, really cool. One of my favourite little POIs. We did have a few offshore locations over here. Just quickly note these down. This one was one of the ones used for one of the NPCs, Splode, back in the day. This is a really cool one. And also this POI over here was really not used for anything. It was just kind of like a little side spot you could rotate through to get a bit of loot. So kind of cool on that side. Now, moving on to the next POI, we're going to be coming in over at the radio tower, and this one was one of my favorite ones for checking for map changes. There was a lot of stuff going on around here with the gnome at the top of the tower, who doesn't seem to spawn in now, and yeah, just a lot of different NPCs were located here, so it was a cool one. And this also ties in with this IO base over here, which has been situated here for a while, and it also leads down past the racetrack with the lawnmowers, which is a cool POI, and then into one of my favorite POIs probably the entire season, the Orchard. It was a location that really was underrated for a long time until a lot of people started using it, and it's a really cool spot to go to. You had the Tomato Town located over here, Pizza Pit Store, you know, that sort of location, really cool. And I think that's one of the new additions over here, recently anyway, from Season 5. So this is really cool to see the reintroduction of Tomato Town. We've got the Farmer's Market here, where you could grab all of your different food and groceries off the shelf. It was great for heal items. You could even collect apples in the orchard itself. They also grew cabbages in the orchard as well in these fields. So there was so much loot inside of the orchard, it was actually insane. So you can see why this was definitely one of my favorite POIs out of the lot. So there it is, the Orchard. It was definitely really cool, and one that I would gladly land at again if it was added into the Chapter 3 map. So that's the Orchard over and out. So moving on to the next POI on this coastline, we'll go to this left section over here, these two houses. These have been here again since the start of the chapter, and many Easter eggs have been situated over here. For example, the Trespassers moved out to here, you can see on the right. You also got these two houses here, which were used for the Halloween decorations of Easter eggs. They were just really Easter egg material houses, and just really cool stuff. So yeah, them three houses down the coast, nice new addition. Alright, so Steamy Stacks, classic one. You know, it technically was the introduction of Kevolution, which was originally on here. You can see Kev out, which is kind of cool, which is like with the Easter egg when the cube broke out from underneath here. To be honest, I didn't really expect there to be a cube underneath here, but I'm guessing there was all this time. And the steam no longer really, oh, it's still steaming, so I guess it is still being powered by something. But there it is, Steamy Stacks, a really cool POI, one that I will greatly miss, and I think this is one that I really did enjoy, and I really did enjoy landing here. So it had a lot of unique mechanics with the steam and stuff, so hopefully they do reintroduce that. The yacht was also located out here. Again, we never really saw that. And also the rig as well, all the way on the other side of the map. Again, that was gone pretty fast after chapter 2 season 3 was the removal of the yacht and the rig on their final stand during those seasons. We had Farmer Steele's farm over here, nothing major really at this POI. It's just a really cool little one to keep an eye on throughout the seasons, which was kind of nice. Also Frenzy Farm, we nearly missed that. Frenzy Farm, which is inside of here currently. Frenzy Farm, again, it got trashed. It really did get trashed after the event last season. This POI is almost useless. I don't think anyone really lands here. It did see a lot of different changes with Colosseum, Colossal Crops, Frenzy Farm's original one, and even last season as well. It was used for the main location for Dr. Sloan's mission, so pretty cool stuff there at that one. Now moving through towards the next POIs, we've got a few others to go over. This has been a long one, but a really relaxing one, and one that I'm happy to do and just sit back and just take a tour of what we've got. Lake Canoe, popular one for challenges, really good fishing spot, anyone that popped in there. Dirty Docks, so this again did see a bit of debris in it. You can see over here we got the debris coming in with the UFO collapsing, but generally Dirty Docks didn't really see many changes throughout the chapter. It had a few Easter eggs and stuff throughout, but really just mainly kept the same, with NPCs being introduced over here and challenges. It was a cool POI, not many people's favourite, but a nice one to land at, but an awkward one to rotate out of. I really never landed here just because it was difficult to rotate over this mountain, so it was one that I really did avoid. But it's a cool POI, and it will be sadly missed in the next chapter if it's not in there. Grotto! You guys are probably wondering, Grotto, where's it gone? It's still flooding. Sadly, I don't think we'll get the Grotto, even with the water lowering. Maybe we'll see it in the Chapter 3 map. Who knows? The Agency as well is in the center of the map, where the Queen, I forgot to mention about the Agency and that. That was a really cool POI introduced in the center of the map around Season 2, which was kind of nice. And finally, we've got 3 more POIs remaining. We've got Retail Row over here. This was a popular one. Retail Row has been in since Chapter 1. We don't really need to talk about this too much. It's been in since day 1 of Fortnite, and it still remains to this day. If any POI was to get carried over to the next chapter, I do believe it could be Retail Row. That's my prediction, anyway. Moving on to Lazy Lakes. This was a cool one. This was one of my favorite ones again. Very Tilted-y vibes. I feel like this was the closest you could get to Tilted Tower's popularity, and it still is a popular one to this day. It will be well missed. Still not as popular as Tilted, but probably as far as you can get to it, in my opinion, throughout this chapter. Lazy Lakes, you will be missed. hardly any changes seen to it really, other than the car building here, which did get a lot of changes. Other than that, it really did stay the same throughout the chapters, so maybe did no sweat insurance building as well. So yeah, really cool stuff there with the Lazy Lakes POI. The next one we've got is coming in at Hunter's Haven. This POI no longer remains, but this was the location of it originally, where I'm flying around now, and it really was a cool one. So that's where Hunter's Haven was located. And finally, going into the woods, which we haven't covered, but we're leaving it to the last one. This is going to be the Weeping Woods, which is one of the coolest woods that we had, similar to Wailing, but Weeping I think was just slightly better. Had a really cool lodge system, and it was a really good rotation having it through the middle of the map. At first I didn't like this, but it was cool that they introduced these giant 2 lodges. Really good for loot, really good POI. The little caravan site over here as well was okay to rotate through sometimes for metal, and even these buildings at the back. So generally, I think Weeping Woods was better than Wailing Woods. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you guys agree or disagree with that one though. Will be interesting to see. And even with that, it did come with some side buildings at the back as well. We have the Spire, Guardian Tower there introduced, and also this little hut over here, which was used throughout the chapter for many Easter eggs with gnomes and storyline related content. So really cool stuff. That's really it though. I think that's going to be everything for the video of the overview of the map. It's been a real shame to say goodbye, and it is going to be goodbye for the Chapter 2 Island. This is probably my final video on here, just doing a tour of everything, so I can kind of just look back at this in the future and be like, there it is, the Chapter 2 Island. It is officially gone. And it's just a little overview of it as we do begin to fly over this island, but it's just amazing when you look at it and how much stuff is inside of here, and just the island itself as a whole. It will be missed greatly, and I think a lot of people will really miss it. I know I will, so let's just keep flying around it and having a look at it. I'll fly diagonally across it and see what it's like, but it's gonna be missed so much. Like, just look at it. You look down at this and think the memories we've had here and all the places we've been. It's crazy. So I hope you guys have had some great memories on the Chapter 2 map, and hopefully the Chapter 3 map can live up to what Chapter 2 was, and I do suspect that will be the case. It's going to be a long journey for sure until the next chapter, 700 odd days, but only time will tell, and we'll have to wait and see what it's going to be like and where things are going to go in the next chapter. No one really knows what's going to happen just yet, so it's going to be cool. I am buzzing for it, and hopefully you guys are as excited as I am for the next chapter. Just look at that map, just look at it. You get the crashed UFO there in the distance as well. It's absolutely huge, isn't it? The island, it's ginormous, so it's crazy stuff right here, real crazy. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. There it is, the overview of the Chapter 2 Island, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Goodbye Chapter 2, and welcome Chapter 3. Hope you guys tune in for my live stream, and I hope you guys did enjoy that. And once again, this is Post